we have a special guest as we go forward here. For those who don't know, I'm going to give you a little bit of story here, but MongoDB is the database behind the scenes at Unqork. It's been there since day one. I'd love to welcome Dave, a good friend, advisor of us, to the stage and join me for a quick 10-minute fireside chat. And thank you, Dave. Good to see you too. Let's do it. Go for it. Pick a chair. So, quick background. So, 2011, I'm at Citigroup. I created a lab called Rethink Inc. And the idea was we could bring people together, innovate faster technology. David Chubak before from Edward Jones was sharing a little bit of those ideas we had in Innovate. One of those was a brand new technology we had seen called MongoDB. And we loved it. We loved it because the friction it reduced for engineers in creating software. It was incredible the speed that we could move at. So with that, we brought MongoDB into Citi 2011. Now, I took on a new role. I left and I joined an insurance company, Fortune 50 MetLife as global CIO. I actually had MongoDB onboarded during my garden leave. I wanted it in procurement, licensed, ready to go. And we built an application that I still think, it was in 2013, we launched something called the MetLife Wall. I think it's the only technology featured in Fortune magazine, a full 2 pages on innovation, especially in insurance, that was thanks to the technology here. So with that, it was about an amazing tech, but most importantly about a company with leadership that I trusted. So Dave joins MongoDB and he's going to take them public. Now you can imagine if I was taking a company public and I got a call from someone saying, can you give me some advice? And that was me talking to Dave. He actually took the meeting in person, and throughout our journey, Dave's not just been there as a friend and advisor, but he actually gave us those credits when Bassam and I were creating the first version of Unqork. We were self-funding. You know, MongoDB put us in a program, and the credits that we went with was what got us started. So thank you, Dave, for partnership and just driving. Your background, Blade Logic was your first company you created, which became president of BMC from there. Before that, Bell Labs, venture side, Greylock partner, now MongoDB, incredible.
Thank you.
So I'd love to hear.
I have to say, Gary, you're one of the few people who can make databases sound sexy. And I would also say you're not the only person who's called me for advice about starting a company, but you're one of the few people who actually did it and you've done a great job, obviously.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you. With that, you're taking on an industry. I always viewed MongoDB and NoSQL as taking on Oracle, taking on the traditional databases, taking on, and not just that, but then moving it to the cloud through Atlas. How do you see that? How have you been driving that vision?
Yeah, so so just to be clear, I'm not the founder, but as a VC, I was doing investigations in next generation databases, actually looked at some competing investments and ended up passing on those investments because when I did diligence, it was clear, even, obviously it's much earlier days, MongoDB was still ahead in terms of developer momentum, mindshare, and even commercial traction. But when I got a call to, because the company was doing a CEO search, and I got a call, and I was talking to my friends, and they said, wait a minute, it's an open source company. Besides Red Hat, no one's made any money on open source. Databases, there's the landscape is littered with companies that essentially have tried to go kill Oracle and have failed. Doing it in New York City, are you nuts? New York City is not a place you can build a deep technology company. So there's all these things against it. And essentially, it's a long discussion, but I essentially overcame those objections and took the job. One of the big reasons was and it obviously speaks to Unqork, you never bet against a company that the users love, where the users love the technology. And even though the company was having issues, I felt like that's something that is very special about this company. And when I saw some of the things that were broken, I felt I could fix them. And so to your point, we felt like we had an opportunity to fundamentally change a very large but somewhat slow-moving industry, because we felt the way applications were being built were very different than the way they had been built in the past. The need for performance, scale, and iteration, being able to change, your application quickly, were just, requirements that were just getting more and more intense. And that's when we felt we had a chance to really disrupt this industry. And then what really changed for us was being able to offer our database as a cloud service, which we call Atlas. And we launched that service in 2016. We went public in 2017, and Atlas was literally, I would say, 3% of our business. Today, it's nearly 2/3 of our business, and obviously a big part of our growth.
And it's amazing. So as an Atlas customer, so I did the on-prem MongoDB in both Citi and MetLife prior to Unqork. When we did Unqork, we weren't going to be able to hire DBAs. We're not going to. How do we support the system administrators, DBAs, and is there a value to us? Are we tackling that piece? And so the idea of Atlas for us was it's a service. It's going to do it out of the box for us. Most importantly, could we orchestrate Atlas such that if we're going to be on GCP or Azure or AWS, automatically it stands up with us?
Right. So I think the point that you're relating to is that as a business, and if you're building a business, you should think about what is the work that really adds value and what is the work that's really undifferentiated labor. I think what Gary was pointing out, for many companies, yes, it's important to hire a DBA, but it's really adding value in a way that gives me a competitive advantage. And so the fact, what Gary said, my time and Bassam's time could be better spent in building this great product, and let me outsource all the plumbing, the provisioning, the configuration, the management of the back end to us. And I think, obviously allowed the founders here to, build a great product, and essentially allowed them to devote their time and energies on what was really valuable.
How do you think through your user base? So enabling engineers to move faster. That's, primarily that's listening to them, reducing friction, and getting feedback from them.
Well, I've talked to literally thousands of customers all around the world, and I've never had a customer complain to me, I'm innovating too fast. I've never had a customer say, you know what, I got to tell these folks to slow down. We're just innovating too fast. We're shipping products too quickly. We're way ahead of the comp. I just got to tell them to slow down. That never happens. It's generally the reverse. I can't get my products out in time. There's too much bureaucracy. The technical debt I've incurred just is limiting my speed of innovation. And as every business becomes a software business, your ability to build applications quickly, to seize new opportunities, or to respond to new threats is incredibly important. And that, to me, is the speed of innovation. So what's interesting is, when our salespeople said, we can make your developers more productive, our senior level manager, or an executive may say, that's nice, but if Joe works 12 hours versus 10 hours a day, so what? If you go to them and say, I can enable you to innovate more quickly to basically go after those revenue producing opportunities or respond to a potential startup trying to disrupt your business, now all of a sudden you got your attention. And so basically helping people innovate all comes down to enabling developers and engineers to build code in the most frictionless way possible, or at least build applications in the most frictionless way possible.
That's amazing. And we have many startups here today with us today. We've heard yesterday in day one, I sat through the panels where we heard the startups who built their technology on Unqork. There was a press release yesterday, SecCurrency released of, here's a crypto firm and Bitcoin, and we're driving the whole firm here using Unqork as their base, which is amazing from that point of view. So any advice for the founders in the room? Any building a company, scaling a company, what would you say?
Well, obviously the world has changed a little bit in the last 6-9 months. We are in the zero interest rate world no more. And so I think, I heard someone speak and they basically made a point I thought was very compelling, saying, this next generation of leaders, we've almost spoiled them, because this last 10, 15 years, capital's been really cheap. People could throw money at problems. And so when you have this abundance of capital, you don't have to make hard decisions. I think we are entering the world where you have to ruthlessly prioritize what's important and just focus on the things that really matter. You have to be good at making hard decisions, and you have to be good at doing more with less. And those skills, I will tell you, you'll look back at this time, they'll be muscles. I started my first company, I raised my first round of financing 5 days before 9/11. The first bubble had just burst, 9/11 had happened. I was wondering if people would even care about my problems. And essentially, I found out that people did care, but the muscles we built in terms of building a business when capital was super expensive and building credibly with customers really hard, paid dividends for years to come.
That's amazing. And Dave, I can't thank you enough for joining us here today and being with us to share your advice and being there for us, me personally, throughout this amazing rocket ship of a journey. So thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Dave.